welcome to a Fight of the Night review. I did have a feeling there would be one, but I didn't peg it as it being the main event of UFC 272 between Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal. Nothing on the line, just bragging rights, bitter rivalry style fight. Got a full 5 rounds to go through, but I will be repeating myself a lot, so this might not be the longest 5-round video I've done. Let's just get to the fight. The fight starts, and Jorge starts every fight with that flying knee they knocked out Ben Askren with. No other wrestler has been dumb enough to try and take him down since then, and Colby is a pretty solid wrestler, so, you know, he's also a pretty smart guy by all accounts if he's not going for the takedown, because he knows that the knee will probably knock him out. But what do I know? Anyway, yeah, it's weird that Jorge keeps going for it at the start of each fight. He does land a good couple of shots. He lands a really good leg kick on Colby. Colby does counter with some really good punches of his own, lands a good head kick with his left foot, and eventually he just takes Jorge down. There is a lot of wrestling in this fight, spoiler alert, but yeah, Colby has Jorge down. He's actually doing a really good job controlling him on the ground. He's taking dominant positions fairly early. He gets a really good side control position early on. Jorge does try and explode and get out of it, but Colby stays on him. He does manage to take Jorge's back, and he tries to go for a few submissions. He's not fully able to sink it in because of how close Masvidal is to the corner. However, there was also a moment earlier in the fight as well where I think Colby wanted to go for like a slap, but he sort of scraped his finger gently against Jorge's eye. It wasn't a massive issue, and then he went for the takedown, and Jorge was complaining to the referee, who was Herb Dean, and Herb Dean would give Colby a warning before round 2 started, but that's for then. As for now, yeah, round 1, eventually they did break from the ground position they were in. Jorge went for a few strikes, didn't really land a lot, and yeah, round 1, easily Colby, just for the wrestling alone. His submission game was pretty good. He wasn't able to put Jorge away, but yeah, he just kept him down. He was landing some good bits of ground and pound and just kept adjusting his position as necessary. Jorge was showing some decent defense. He even defended a couple of takedowns, but yeah, Colby definitely has round 1 in my opinion. Before I forget about round 1, as they were standing up from the ground position they were in, Colby landed a really good elbow and opened with some really good strikes, but yeah, round 1 still definitely in favour of Colby. We then move on to round 2, and early on Colby goes for another head kick because he landed a pretty good one in round 1, and he does slip, and it causes the entire crowd to go, even though it wasn't actually that bad. I've never actually seen a fighter go for a kick, slip, and knock themselves out when they hit the ground, although if it has happened, let me know, because I'm actually intrigued to see what it looks like. But anyway, yeah, round 2, fairly similar to round 1. Jorge does get a bit more better offense in, but yeah, Colby eventually manages to get a takedown. It's more of a pushing Jorge against the cage game for him, though. You know, he's just keeping him on the cage, really grinding against him, frustrating Jorge, and Colby does land a pretty blatant looking low blow to the knackers, and there is a break in the fight. Jorge takes about 30-40 seconds. He doesn't take a long time to recover, and because of it being a low blow. Anyway, yeah, round 2, very similar to round 1 in a lot of ways, although the outcome is slightly different because when they do break away, it's a bit easier for Jorge to get his bearings, and he does land a good couple of shots. He even catches a body kick attempt from Colby and trips him up with a kick of his own, and again the crowd starts to go, but Colby is very well conditioned and he manages to recover pretty quickly. But yeah, round 2, while it was a bit more sort of more even, it was a Colby round through and through. So yeah, 2 rounds to Colby, 2 for 2 for him. Round 3, more of the same. Colby does do a little bit more stand-up, not comedy, thank God. He does a bit more stand-up fighting. He actually opens up on Jorge with some really good shots for the most part. He eventually manages to get another takedown. There is a great moment as well where, I think it's in this round, it could be one of the 2 after the round, I don't remember when, but when he's getting the takedown, Jorge goes for a really good sprawl, but Colby manages to recover, sneak around him, and almost lock in another rear naked choke submission. And Colby is a bit more aware with his striking in this round. I think it's round 3 or 4 where he lands a beauty of an uppercut that stuns Jorge really badly and opens him up with some really good shots. He's going for the body a little bit more. Jorge's landing that leg kick that landed really well in round 1. He's landing it a couple of times in round 2 and also in round 3. He's not going for it a lot though, which is a shame because I think if he did, it would have stood a better chance. But yeah, very much felt like the rest of the fight by this point. Colby starts with stand-up, Jorge lands a good couple of shots, lands a leg kick, Colby gets a takedown, they eventually break away, and yeah, again, Colby wins round 3. I mean, Jorge is just not doing enough at the end of these rounds to really swing it in his favour. Colby, you know, just with his wrestling again, with the takedowns, with the submission attempts, he really takes it. I think he even goes for a Kimura at some point. So yeah, just really good shit from Colby. And then we get to round 4, quite easily Colby's most dominant round. He gets the takedown pretty early again. He's opening up with way more strikes on Jorge as well. And yeah, he mostly just gets a full guard position. The first look, not fully dominant position as the commentary team puts it. But that aside, yeah, round 4, very much the similar story, even though with a bit more activity from Colby. Like, he's just much more consistent than Jorge is. He does land some really good shots on him, and he stays in the full guard, blasting him with elbows. He does get cut with an elbow in round 1, I think, as well, by the way. A very glancing elbow from Jorge while they're being stood up. Well, while they are standing up. But yeah, Colby starts to open up. Jorge a bit more with the elbows. He sort of looks like he breaks his nose because there is a little bit of blood dripping from Jorge's nose, but it's nothing too major, and he's again, Jorge's only bleeding a little bit, not much. But yeah, Colby definitely takes round 4, but near the end of the round, Jorge lands the best shot that he can in this entire fight. He lands a beauty of a right hand, clips Colby right on the chin, doesn't knock him out, stuns Colby. He actually smiles and manages to recover really quickly, but again, he's being more aware of his defenses, and he's able to sort of fend off Jorge until the end of the round. And again, round 4, Colby. And then we get to round 5, where there is a little bit more standoff, but again, not a whole lot. Colby does actually open fire pretty early on with some really good strikes. He starts with a good body kick, which I found interesting because he hadn't really gone for a lot of those, and does open up with some really good boxing on Jorge, who himself is a pretty decent boxer. I wish he showcased it more in this fight. But yeah, Colby manages to again open up strikes, gets a takedown. He's actually, again, much like he was in round 2, he's grinding Jorge against the cage a little bit more, just trying to frustrate him, and it is working. He eventually goes for another takedown. I think Jorge manages to stuff it and even counter it a little bit. But Colby has really amazing sweeps, and I was not expecting his jiu-jitsu to be as good. Like, wrestling, yes. His jiu-jitsu, not so much, but it was actually a genuine surprise to show that that's a good level of his game and he should use it more. But yeah, there's really no difference between round 5 and how the rest of the previous 4 rounds went. I argue there's a little bit more stand-up game in round 5, but yeah, Colby manages to get a takedown. He gets some good submission attempts, even goes for another Kimura at some point, I think. Jorge, props to him, he's holding it quite well. And this is something pointed out by commentary as well, is that Colby goes for like the same submission sort of thing, sort of an attempt on the one that Khabib did against Conor when they fought back in 2018, I think that fight was, or 2019, whatever it was. But yeah, Colby manages to sort of try and sink that in, even though Jorge himself doesn't tap. Eventually they break away, and more stand-up, and that's it. Round's over, fight's over, Colby wins 5-0. Now we have to talk about the fight. I will admit, one of the things that does save this fight is the crowd participation. I mean, it's a pretty big deal, because it's a big pay-per-view. They're in the UFC's home of the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, in Nevada, however you want to say it. And it was a good fight, but good golly was it super one-sided. Colby definitely had all of the rounds. I mean, when one of the judges scores it as 50-44, then yeah, it's not fight of the year material to me. I really don't think it is. I did enjoy moments of it. You know, there's pretty good trash talk. Colby, even with his fouls and even with like a couple of the back of the head strikes that he was landing, even with the elbows that Jorge was landing as well, it was just super one-sided in favour of Colby. His wrestling was something that Jorge simply could not compete with. And it was just a very clear victory, just a very clear 25 minutes for Colby. Like, he did not look like he was breaking a sweat. Even though his face looked worse off than Jorge's did by the end of the fight, yeah, he definitely won. Don't know what it is about this fight that throws me so. I did enjoy it, and I would recommend you check it out, because it is kind of fun. It is always nice to have a full crowd, but yeah, no, not in my top 10 of this year, really not. Felt way too one-sided. And it also felt like such a nothing fight for a main event of a pay-per-view with no belt on the line. I get it, okay, they couldn't really put a welterweight championship on the line because neither of the two are the champion, but they could have put Jorge's BMF title on the line, even though that's a gimmick title and it's dumb. It would have made the fight mean a little bit more. I don't know. I wasn't super big on it. Like, I'm all for a bitter rivalry fight, but yeah, it just felt super one-sided. So not really much I can do about that. With that being said, that's another review of these in the books. I do enjoy doing these, even if the fight itself isn't always great, but I do recommend you go and look for the fight yourself. I did find parts of it entertaining, even if the fouls and the one-sidedness of it did throw me off. It's still a pretty good fight, and I would recommend giving it a shot, mostly just for how fun it is. But as for what's next from me, well, tomorrow, hopefully, the very brief history of Baby Metal, and then on Tuesday, the full backtracking episode of Baby Metal, and also on Tuesday night, the return show for PWW vs AEW. We got some War of Attrition qualifiers to get through. It's going to be good. I need to actually make the card with my co-booking people. But that's for then. Well, that's for tonight, because I usually make the card on Sunday nights. But that's besides the point. As for, yeah, I've already explained what's next. I will see you hopefully tomorrow. And as always, thank you for watching. Awesome. Bye-bye.